All right, so it's streaming now live on Facebook. So for those of you that
Live
are not,
right now?
yes, it is. What I'm getting a note that says we're live. So if you'll put yourselves on mute to start with, that would be super great. Okay, there's John.
I'm gonna leave.
All right. So welcome one and all to our second Thursday of the month open mic, sponsored by the Pat Conroy Literary Center and partnering with the South Carolina Writers Association. Got a beautiful, fun, enthusiastic group of writers this evening. And so welcome to all of you, and welcome to those of you that are tuning in to share and listen to our work. We appreciate it so much. So we've got a big lineup tonight, and we do a 3-minute read, and we follow it up in the evening with our featured reader this evening, who is Ms. Elizabeth Robin. And Elizabeth will take us out this evening, not literally, but from a very poetic and literative way. But for that, we have a 3-minute read rule. It's okay if you go a little bit over. There's no hook taking you off the Facebook screen or otherwise. So I'll read the lineup in threes so that you have a little heads up. These first 3 readers didn't get much of a heads up. We're going to have Pam Campbell's going to kick us off this evening. Jackie Markham, I don't see her here tonight, so if she comes in a little bit later, we'll circle back. And then Niles Reddick, you're number 3, and then we've got another young lady that Josie Olsvig. I don't see her online just yet, so we'll do our best. And Pam, if you'd be so kind to start us off, welcome, and give us a little idea of what you're going to read, and take it away.
Okay. Well, I'm Pam Campbell, and I'm going to read a poem. Platypus Pairings. Dear Mr. Paul, I write you now as the sun draws its long shadows on Colgate Prison's walls. Least I think it's sunset, painted as it is in my memory. I don't have a window, none of us do. But even inside light changes when when the sun sets. Mood shifts here too. Lonesome time sets in, an aching, lonesome time. A longing for your mama, for your daddy, and for your baby, taken when your breasts were still full. That baby formed inside of me, kept me from a bedsheet hanging, my baby did. I made a promise to Platty, that's what I named him, you see. Not the name his dead daddy's granny gave him, weren't hers to name, or have, or poison with wrong whisperings. Read to Platty every day I did, painted pictures with words to him from the pages of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Got his name when he kicked up something fierce when I colored him a picture of a platypus. He was twin to it, you see, in a swimming, solitary place, save for my beating heart. We beat a piece of life together in this windowless place. So you see, Mr. Paul, if you send me one of your platypuses, a baby one, I could conjure my baby boy once more with me. Our hearts beating time together again until I can get out and set things right between us. My Platty swam into this world with chestnut brown hair like me, just the color of that baby platypus on page 34 of your spring catalog. I added extra in my money order for special handling and express delivery. I am yours sincerely, inmate number 234, cell block D, Colgate Prison.
Wow, that was fabulous, Pam. Thanks for starting us off in a very, very beautiful way. That was really great.
Very touching.
Thank you. Yep. So, good or bad, Niles has to follow you up. So, Niles, if you'd be so kind to give us a little intro, that would be terrific.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate it. I told Donna earlier, she commented on something I posted about a story last week that got accepted in Wraparound South. And I decided Donna, I'm sorry, I'm not going to read that one tonight. It's long, and I have a cold. I'm losing my voice off and on, so I'm going to read a short piece that's new, and it has been submitted, but hasn't been accepted yet. Already this week, I've had 3 acceptances. Last week, 5 acceptances in 1 week, which is amazing. So I'm on a high right now, a natural high, by the way. This is called Licking the Beaters. Did you ever lick the beaters? Anybody? Okay, if nobody knows what I'm talking about, I'm in trouble. Okay, so the September corn moon was full and bathed our yard and house in light. And my mom busied herself in the kitchen and poured eggs, sugar, butter, milk, vanilla, and flour in a metal bowl. The beaters spun in unison in opposite directions and mixed everything together for my birthday cake from scratch. Mom waltzed from the mixer to the pantry, to the cabinets, to the oven and back in her yellow polka dot dress draped in a Betty Crocker apron. Mom had Betty's smile, and she wore flour on her fingertips that sprinkled her hair when she pressed her Jackie Kennedy do back in place. Sam, do you want to lick the beaters? Licking the beaters was always the foreplay before the climax of eating the birthday cake, and waiting until the next day was as bad as anticipation on Christmas Eve. I gazed through the window and imagined my mother outside in the reflection of moonlight next to the crepe myrtles and whispered, "I want to lick the beaters." And she holds one out for me, dripping in sugary cream. I feel my tongue dabbing the cool glass. "What the hell are you doing, Sam?" "I just cleaned those panes yesterday," my wife said. I can't tell my wife that my mom is out there inviting me to lick the beaters because she's been gone for years. "I thought there was a smudge," I said. "Well, don't lick it. Wipe it with your shirt sleeve." I wiped it and turned back toward her. She's dressed in a black pinstriped business suit, a white shell, and has readers on. She looks smart and sharp. She'll make a commercial real estate deal that will give us commission enough to get out of credit card, student loan, and mortgage debt. "What kind of birthday cake do you want me to pick up from the grocery store on the way home?" "Doesn't matter," I said. "They're all the same. You pick what you like best and I'll eat it." That's it. It's a very short piece.
That was terrific, Niall.
Thank you very much.
That was terrific. The imagery was really, really great. Licking the window is really
I have
a
to-
great twist.
I have to tell you all that I had not written anything last week. I try to do at least 1 story a week, sometimes 2. I wrote one yesterday while I was waiting on my son to take his driver's license test. And you should see this place filled with the most colorful characters in the world. Anyway, I was reading this book, which I just ordered, Robert Scottalero's flash fiction collection, What Are the Chances? A great read. And something he said in one of his stories inspired me to write that piece. It had nothing to do with what I wrote about at all, but it was just an image that he used. And all of a sudden, the whole thing just kind of appeared to me and I transcribed it. So it was a fun write.
Would you like to repeat that title one more time for all of us?
It's called What Are the Chances by Robert
Press 50
Scottalero.
or a hub. Yeah.
This was published by Press 53 out of Winston-Salem. But I think Robert lives in San Francisco.
Okay.
Very good writer.
Thank you, Niles. You as well. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
So Miss Laura Mahaffey, believe it or not, I'm missing some folks, and so I didn't give you a warning there. Do you have something to share with us this evening?
I do.
Yay.
I can.
I do and I can. That's perfect. So go ahead and introduce it, and we look forward to hearing it.
Let me find it real quick. I warn you that I sometimes have trouble reading it without crying, so be prepared.
That's okay. Just take your
Um,
time. Take your time.
This it's a poem and about my daughter and her cancer. So, and I will say in advance that she's okay before we go any further. She's fine. We made it, and I'm a little nervous because this is my first time. So here we go. It's entitled Death Waits. I stand between you and the life you'd like to take, a raging, battered sentinel. Her blue eyes search the room, clinging to a wisp of salvation, not yet convinced. Those eyes, glued to mine, search for an answer they cannot find. You will not win. We do not surrender, never will. The plan is set. She's a light on a raft, raging down a wild river. Hang on, don't fall in. The corridor appears before us with cold steel walls, long and unnavigable. Too many twists and turns, no map to show the way. Somehow, we arrive and stand outside your door, but no one goes in. Back up, back up. Please don't go in. You will not win. Her dark eyes, deep with fatigue, her will fading, a shell, the light flickering. Her body's grown smaller, a thin apparition teetering on the edge of something. I cling to what remains, forcing my strength on them all. No one goes in. Go now, I lean against the door. Leave, go so far from here you'll never find your way back. My love, no, our love, is too powerful, an invincible wall, too strong for the likes of you. You will not win. My will, the indomitable, tenacious strength of it, so much stronger than yours. Go now, you're an impotent specter against our love. A friend comes, and for a moment, a glimpse of the her before you. You will not win. Things don't happen the way they should, the natural order reversed. Children die, the exhausting emptiness of someone no longer being. Take me, my light already flickers, the combination of poor decisions and worse choices. Wings spread wide in the darkness, I wait. No one comes. Come get me, I dare you. I'll be standing at the door. You will not win. Death has few friends and takes us all. Some lives too soon, some not soon enough, lives the living won't let go of. The ache of a life no longer being, but still here. My precious apparition has paid the price, walked a path I could not go on. Tomorrow, maybe you get one, maybe you don't. Some welcome death's embrace, a place to rest. We do not, but the light keeps flickering. You will not win. We all go one day, erased no more, and who remains to mark the passing? You've touched us, you've left your mark, and even though we'll win, the same we will not be. The chill engulfs us, icy fingers reach closer. I feel them on the nape of my neck. We wait, we hope. I demand. The haunting knowledge that not everybody wins pricks at me, the price of living so high. Yes, death, you sometimes have the last word, not this time. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That was very courageous. Thank you for, yeah. The repetition was really, the repetition was really meaningful. And taking the time to share that with everyone was a blessing to us. Thank you very much.
You guys.
Yep.
Nice job.
That was
Thank you.
beautiful. Very, very beautiful.
And we're
you make-
glad to know you're doing well. Okay.
We are, we just celebrated our 4th year cancer free. So,
Yay. Yay.
So-
Yay. Okay. All right. Well, this is a wonderful evening tonight. Thanks for being supportive, everyone. I'm almost afraid to have Barry Dixon follow you, Laura, but maybe Barry Dixon is exactly what we need right now. So take it away, Mr. Dixon.
Thank you. Actually, I have a flash nonfiction collection, which is the micro memoir manuscript that is floating around out there, getting all kinds of bizarre rejection slips, which I'll share sometime. These are 2 little micro memoirs, true events from my life. The name of the collection is Barry Who? 33 Unforgettable Micro Memoirs from Someone You Never Heard of. These have nothing to do with each other, except that they add up to about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. First one, May 1951. This is called Mashed. Every once in a while, when my late brother Lowell and I disagreed, I would say something like, "What do you know, French fry?" Or, "Clearly you're an au gratin person." Once I even accused him of being scalloped. Occasionally, someone would ask, "Why do you call your brother potato things?" Okay, here's why. When Lowell was 8 and I was 5, Mother decided it was family photo time. Off we went to Cindy, the professional photographer everyone swore by. All of us posing and saying cheese for the better part of a morning. Finally, Cindy declared, "We got it." A week later, she summoned us to behold the masterpieces. Almost immediately, my 5-year-old instincts told me Mom was not happy. "Looks good," she said. "Barry is adorable." Of course. But I have to tell you, I don't like the way Lowell came out. He's sitting funny in the family shots, and the individual ones, he doesn't come off so great. Cindy looked at the shots, then at my mother. There were a few seconds of silence. "Mrs. Dixon," she said, "you take a potato, you get a potato." That moment became famous in Dixon family folklore. I especially never let him forget it, not for the next 68 years. I miss you, hash browns. And this one, thank you. This one is a typical moment from my pre-Kathy days, from me and many of the women in my life. Spring 1982, the suave Barry. Brownstones on Manhattan's Upper West Side often have a little balcony. You could sit out there and watch the folks below not clean up after their dog, or double park so the person they blocked in can't get to work. Or you could just read, as I was doing that day when someone from the attached brownstone came out on their balcony. Behold, a lovely young woman I had never before seen. "Hello," I said. "Hi," she said in a very friendly voice. "What you doing?" "Oh, just reading the Village Voice, checking out this columnist." I thought I'd impress her with my knowledge of the trendy New York journalists. "This guy, Nat Hentoff, he writes a weekly column. To be honest, I'm not crazy about him. His writing is mediocre at best. Breslin and Hamill are better. He whines, but I read him just to keep up with the musings of the latest overrated writer. You familiar with him?" "I should be," she said. "He's my father."
You are a mess. Thank you, Barry Dixon. I don't know what's going on with the rejections or acceptances, but that'll have to be a piece that you write in the future. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you. I will. I'll share some really strange rejection slips. Long
Yeah, that-
explanations of why this is terrific and why we're not publishing it. Lots of those.
That could be a seminar, actually. So think about putting one together for us. Nice work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, as always. The next three lineup that we have is Catherine Tandy Brown, followed by Jane Addams, and then followed by Estelle Ford Williamson. So that's going to be our next three folks up. And Catherine, you get to start us off, please.
Okie dokie. This is an excerpt from a memoir I'm writing about my mother, and it's called Anne, Queen of the Wing Chair. That's the memoir name, and she will be referred to as the Queen from time to time in this. And I hope that it's short enough. Just throw the noose out if you need to. Okay, planning Anne's memorial service. One sunny January morning, not long after a scary episode with an antipsychotic drug was resolved, my 85-year-old mom phoned me. Her voice was clear, the tone upbeat, and my heart lifted to hear her sounding like my mother again. No matter what else was happening in my life, she always filled a corner of my mind. Each time the phone rang, I'd subconsciously wonder if it were Mom. And if so, would she be alert or in an ozone state? Or would it be the call about her passing? As hard as I tried not to fall into this pattern, I couldn't seem to help the path my mind took. So I finally simply let it be. Cottony clouds skittered across a powder blue Sunday sky out my bedroom window as I answered. Her voice resonated with purpose. Catherine, I need your help with something. Are you busy? Not at all, I replied, curious as to what request the Queen might have dreamed up fresh from her slumber. What's up? What happens when you die? She asked this as calmly as if she were confirming the time of a hair appointment. Even though I'm a morning person, her concern was a request of some magnitude. A week prior, her doctor had told my stepsister Molly that she didn't see how Mom was still here physically. Her body's completely worn out, Dr. Pat had said. So the question presented an expected, if not necessarily welcomed, challenge. As soon as I realized exactly what she was asking, I said a quick prayer for the right words, took a deep breath, and responded. I believe that we as human beings are essentially spirit using these bodies while we're here, I began. When we die, we shed our tired old bodies. There's no more pain or anger or worry. It's not hard anymore. Filled with joy and light, we return to the form from which we came and join the spirits of those we loved and knew here on the earth. When you die, Mom, I think that your spirit will join Daddy's and Edmund's and Murty's and Jane Campbell's and Tucky's. These are all friends of hers. Oh, she said in a voice filled with wonder, will I see Tucky again? I miss her so much. Dear friends for 40 plus years, Mom and Tucky Forbes had met as doctors' wives in Hopkinsville and had bonded immediately. Mary Tuck Forbes was a New Englander who had been working at the Ladies' Home Journal when the revered publication coined the term togetherness. The two pals both found that hysterical, and they also shared commonalities in child raising, physician husbands, and passions for Portugal, Blue Nun, and Goo-Goo clusters. Occasionally, they'd leave all their offspring with a maid or sitter on a hot summer afternoon and walk the 4 blocks down Main Street. In the cool of the Princess Theater, they'd take in a matinee and giggle over Goo-Goos. The Philadelphia Story and La Dolce Vita were favorites. Despite others in their circle of Hopkinsville friends, the Connecticut Yankee and the Southern Belle adored each other especially, and Mom was distraught when cancer had claimed Tucky a year earlier. I believe Tucky will greet you with a goo-goo, Mom, I assured. You can even drop in on Lindsay and me here on Earth anytime, and you can choose to let us know you're there or not. And for the first time, she responded like a trusting child. Really? Oh, that's wonderful. It sounds so beautiful. I'd come far enough with Mom not to harbor false hopes of her believing my spiritual philosophy, but her next question inspired me to continue to rise to the occasion. How do I do it? She asked. It took a minute for me to realize that she meant the physical act of dying. For the first time in her regal life, the Queen had admitted her humanness, conceding that even she who must be obeyed might actually vacate her throne and leave the earth at some point. After another quick prayer for proper verbiage, I offered, When the time comes, you just relax and let go. That's all you have to do. It's very easy. You don't have to struggle at all. Just let it happen, and it will. Just allow the peace to come in. I think it might be soon, she then proffered in a strong, matter-of-fact voice. Would you find out about cremation? Your sister doesn't believe in it, and if anyone puts me in a box in the ground, I'll come back and haunt them. I really will. If anybody could, I thought. A smile spread my lips wide as tears stung my eyes. That's it.
Wow, you've made a lot of progress, Catherine. Lots of progress.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well done. Yeah. All right, Miss Jane Addams, you're gonna follow Miss Catherine. So after we unmute a little bit there, and give us a little intro to what you're reading, please. Yeah, hi.
Hi, Catherine, that was wonderful, now that I have a voice. I'm reading tonight Epiphanies on a Stream, and it recently was accepted for the fall issue of the Pedigree Review, which I'm over the moon thrilled about. Yeah. So it is inspired by one of the most beautiful days in my life that I spent fishing in the Nantahala Forest in the Great Smoky Mountains. Here we go. An epiphany came that day, first time on a mountain stream. I heard a mighty whoop that echoed through the hills. A shout of joy, pure as air. My own voice had taken flight. A trout caught on a fly, gills pulsing, lay in my glistening hands. He stared at me one-eyed and quivered iridescent in the sun, speckled red and brown across the deepest field of golds. My wet fingers shook as I beheld his star-studded colors, layered as the heavens, a fourth dimension opened to my eyes. I blinked, God-smacked, holding back unaccustomed tears, this marvel of creation in my unworthy, wrinkled hands. Mist and moment hung, rain-swollen stream rushed round. How easily my weary legs could slip on wet and mossy rocks. My lungs as useless in water as gills in thin mountain air. Each of us so fragile, hung on the mercy of the moment. I drew him in and kissed him and stroked his glorious scales. His deadpan eye held mine. Sides heaving, he awaited his fate. Will you take me or give me back to the stream? I thanked my God for the vision and sent him home. I yelled once more as he slipped beneath the foam, spectacular! And he was gone in a spray of rainbow. I cast my line downstream again, and a second epiphany came. 6 sullen faces in unison turned toward me from the river below. Silent as the pines, gritting teeth against the gathering chill, 6 joyless fishermen trained their cold-eyed glares my way. No cries of discovery, no grateful praise for the gift of a fish held in the hand, no happy witness to my moment. Once they had that wonder, but tangled in fly, leader in line, technique and perfect form, their joy lay cold and lifeless on the bank. I left the mountain stream that day and never returned to cast, enough to have beheld such beauty and yelled my thanks to heaven just once. So that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Jane, that's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking us fishing with you.
I feel 20 degrees cooler.
Up to your hips.
That's exactly right, Estelle. Okay, so you're not gonna bring us back to the humidity then, right, Estelle? I don't know what you're reading this evening, but keep it light. Yeah,
No
you're on
humidity
mute,
at
sweetheart.
all. But it is a fish. It's kind of a fishy story too.
Okay.
I didn't bring in humidity, so if you imagine it, that's your imagination. This is from a story, a nonfiction piece I had published in a review called Starry Night Review. It was based on the idea of just fiction or nonfiction that would just take your breath away, like the Starry Night. And it was online for a while and went away, but you know, in the meantime, several of us got published and really enjoyed it, or a number of people got published. So this is called Social Networking for Alligators. This takes place on the South Newport River, which is in Georgia. It's between Savannah and Brunswick. It's Pogo Land. Has everybody ever saw that that particular comic strip? Lots of alligators and critters. Okay, so I was again working on property on the South Newport River. And even though property restrictions and houses going up nearby prevented us from camping, I could take a moment for a morning look at the river from our dock. A neighbor's older brother sat in a folding chair on his floating dock, overlooking the water by a couple of feet. It was high tide, and Conrad was looking at a 3 to 4 foot alligator in the water in front of him. Mid-morning sun lighting up his skin, perfected over the millions of years alligators have roamed the earth. In sunlight, his skin was yellow, brown, and black, almost zigzag pattern like a diamondback rattler. The gator was showing his full length, swinging his tail, propelling himself across the dock sitter's range of view. Conrad was recuperating from removal of most of his colon. Cancer and other diseases had made his legs thin, bird-like, but his curiosity was intact. And yes, he was talking to the gator, as I had, over years of watching them launch in our river each summer. Sometimes they'd grow to a larger size, but alligator hunting seasons are now declared regularly, so the 11 and 17 foot wonders I'd seen there or on Blackbeard Island are rarer now. But something that's been here since the age of the dinosaurs, you tend to pay attention. I turned away from our dock near Conrad and continued packing for our trip home away from the river. I envied Conrad his coming adventures in keeping up with the alligators. My husband and I had seen 4 similar sized reptiles, probably a juvenile pod feeding on crabs and other small prey, in the same stretch of river the day before. I knew he would heal to the maximum his body was capable of in that Eden, especially if he was in no big hurry, Conrad that is. I had learned that hurry was the enemy and river time was the healer to my body and soul. I came back to our dock. The gator was gone. He disappeared, Conrad said, pointing across the river at the fast-moving dark water. Not for long, though. I saw the yellow-brown narrow log heading to the left edge of my dock. Careful to keep the structure between us, the gator was swimming for grasses on my shore. Yes, to spy on me, just as I was spying on him. With Conrad, he'd started at periscope depth, just showing eyes protruding above the water like the big eyes of a cartoon frog. Then he'd swum full length across his gaze, taking a measure of his human observer. Submerging, he'd stolen 40 feet underwater and then come up on the far side of my dock. His purpose? Maybe defensive positioning, getting a bead on the enemy. But as I saw him sneak into tall grasses near my shore and turn towards me, nose only in view, I thought, he's a social critter. Just wants to make sure he's met everyone out this morning. Maybe it gets dull talking only to other gators, and everything else runs away from him because he eats them. Yeah, I thought, social networking, that's what he's doing. He wants me to be his friend, just like on Facebook. Should I confirm?
That was really fun, Estelle.
Oh, what a unique way of looking at things you have.
When you're down by yourself on the water for large amounts of time, you come up with stuff. Or they come up with stuff for you.
Oh, yeah. Or they just
Thank you,
come up for you.
That was fun. That was fun. Okay, our next threesome is Donna Keel Armour, followed by Brooke McKinney. I'm taking I'm taking some liberties here, Brooke, that you're going to read for us tonight, correct? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. And Miho Keenis. I'm trying to get the last name right. So, hey, Miho. So, okay. So Donna, Brooke, and Miho. And Abby, you and I are going to pull up the tail on this thing, not the alligator tail, but the back end. Okay. All right. Very good. All right, Donna, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to change everything up totally because I'm going to be reading from my mystery, La Stella Rosa del Mare, which translates as the red starfish. Now, I think I've read several chapters before on here, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book when I decided I need to totally rework the first chapter. So, which happens all the time with me, so I'm not real worried about it. But I've switched. So the story actually is about a chef, a female chef who's going to Italy to stay for a year to work in a restaurant. But in the meantime, her best friend has gone missing and was also doing a gig in Italy, and they were supposed to meet up there. So I'm going to start out, initially my first chapter starts out in the low country, but I'm looking at switching it around and starting it out in Italy. So here goes. I crouch in the alcove of a deserted building, shrinking myself against the smooth, cool stone. The rain pushed by wind pellets my face. I tug on the hood of my rain jacket, trying to protect myself. My head pounds from lack of sleep, and my entire body is sluggish, crippled by jet lag and nothing to eat since yesterday morning at the Savannah airport. As the storm lashes around me, I wonder, not for the first time, if I've made a foolish decision coming to Castello del Mare to find Stella. It certainly wouldn't be the first foolish decision that Stella played a role in, and it probably wouldn't be the last. Best friends forever, we'd pledged with bloody fingers. That was so many years ago, but we'd never broken that pledge. I peer out into a day as dark as night, although it's the middle of the afternoon. Fog swirls at my feet, obscuring the village into gray nothingness. The wind's velocity increases. I slouch further into the recesses of the alcove, leaning against an old wooden door. I yelp when my weight pushes the door open. I hesitate, wondering if it's safe for me to shelter inside. I nudge the door a little with my umbrella. It creaks. There's movement, breathing. A sinister odor lodges in my nostrils as the shadowy interior expands. I step back when a sharp stab of lightning illuminates the room. A figure shrouded in ghoulish green reaches for me, grabbing at my jacket. I stumble, falling as hands clasp my ankle. Kicking with all the strength I can muster, I connect with the body part before rolling into the flooded street. I don't think, just scramble into a crouching position and run as I've never run before. I don't look back. Out of the clouds and mist, a figure floats toward me. A tiny crevice appears between two buildings. I force myself through, praying it's not a dead end. As I race away, I hear a voice calling, "Signora, signora, dove sei?" My legs give out, quivering with fatigue and fear. The only person who knows my name in this village is the caretaker, Gino. The sound of his voice grows faint, dulled by the wind. I sob and stumble, not knowing whether to go forward into the unknown or back toward the voice. I finally shake free of my fear and scream, sono qui, I'm here.
Yeah, I think you've got us, Donna. Yeah, that's a great beginning.
Okay, that's what I need to hear because it was starting off too slow, I think. So I think I needed to grab you right off the bat that this is going to be really an uncomfortable story.
Yeah.
You did that well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel grabbed.
All right.
All right, let's just ignore that last comment and move on to Brooke McKinney, who's, yeah, good. Thank you, Barry. Okay. Hey, Brooke. Oh, you're a little frozen. Oh, where'd she go? There we go. Hi, you're on mute still. There we go.
Okay, I'm going to read from the same thing I've been reading from, and some of you may know about Girly or may not, but I'm going to read another little passage with her. Can everyone hear me? Good, okay. I was 9 years old when I wandered away from home, barefoot and wearing a hot pink swimsuit. I couldn't see the pond from the backyard, but a path led me to it again and again. Girly trotted next to me, her tall legs strutting along. Her white fur stood out against the green earth, and the brown spot on her head looked like a large walnut. She didn't leave my side except for when she caught a whiff of something in the wind and took off. I stopped along the dirt path, placing my hand over my eyes, like I was saluting someone. Squinting in the sunlight, I scanned the fields for her. Come on, Girly. On the path to the pond, my hand gently ran along rows of red sorrel. I plucked one from the earth, tore the roots off, took a bite, and chewed until sourness filled my mouth. Eating weeds was something I did as a kid, just to see what they tasted like. I tossed the red ruffled stem into the air and thought about the sweet honeysuckle vines that grew up ahead. Girly came back, and we kept walking. I turned around to see if I could still see the house. Nothing, just the horizon cutting the world in half. One half blue sky, the other half a wide stretch of grass. I was hot and thirsty. The red sorrel dried up my mouth like I had been chewing on cotton balls and lemons at the same time. The sun turned my skin pink as raw meat, but I kept going until I reached the rusted barbed wire fence smothered with honeysuckle at the wood's thick edge. It took me a while to pick out a flower, examining each trumpet carefully, as if I could tell by just looking which had the most nectar inside. The thick fruity smell filled the air, pungent and sweet. The yellow parts swarmed the vines and looked like floating candles as far as I could see. Honeysuckle liked to wander, go off into spaces it wasn't supposed to. My fingers rubbed the delicate petals, the softness more real to me than anything else that day. I gently plucked one by its base, pinching to pull the thin green stem out of the tube. The sweetness bubbled up at the end. I dropped the nectar on the tip of my tongue to taste. Girly ran toward the pond, lapping up water, her muscled chest half submerged. I grabbed a stick, poking at the scum growing on top of the water. I walked over the thick algae, easing in a little, only ankle deep, as Girly stepped forward, barking at me. Shh, I said, they'll find us. I walked a little deeper. She barked louder. That's when I saw the truck coming down the drive. Dust kicked up, making a dirt cloud behind Joe's old Dodge. I hopped out of the water and began running. Girly followed me into the weeds as we headed back to the house. Joe slammed on brakes and got out of the truck. Brooke, what did I tell you? I came to the dirt path, panting and replaying what he had told me about not running away from the house. It was the second time that week. When we got back to the house, Girly jumped out of the back as I hopped out of the passenger side, heading up to the porch steps. Wait a minute there, I heard. Joe walked around with a switch in his hand. I ran up the porch, begging him not to do it this time, but I was certain I'd never run away again. My excuse to Joe, if I had known at the time, might have been, if dogs run free, then why not we? That was something Bob Dylan once said. He grabbed me by the arm, taking me back down to the dirt and gravel, rocks embedding in the soles of my feet as I tried running circles around him to avoid the switch, but it came around harder each time, the sting wrapping around every inch of me. Girly came up to us, growled and showing her teeth, moving in closer, trying to get between us, and Joe kicked at her with the sharp end of his snakeskin boot. Get out of here. She moved in closer. He pointed his finger at me and said, that ought to learn you something. Maybe he was right. Maybe I'd learn something. He told me if I kept going off, something would eventually kill me. a wild hog, a rattlesnake, a stranger, drowning. But sometimes those large and venomous things didn't seem nearly as bad as the sound of Joe and my mother fighting, which often sent me to a closet, head tucked and ears covered. Girlie came and sat next to me and looked off into the distance back towards the pond, and I knew I'd probably never be able to go with her again. I rubbed my hand along her neck and her back, her fur soft and warm. My other hand, a balled fist, still clenched the sweet yellow trumpet. As I leaned into Girlie's neck, she stood tall, looking out towards the woods. She headed back down the path and towards the pond. The sun spread like a broken egg, laid out on the horizon. It was getting lower, and I didn't want to go inside. There.
Thank you for continuing to take us on that journey, Brooke. It's
Wow.
fantastic. Fantastic.
Just put us there. You just put us there. It's wonderful. Love you. Love
It's
you.
great, Brooke. Fabulous.
Really well written.
Okay, well, Miho, you get to follow. Yeah, there. So take a deep breath and give us a little intro to what we're going to hear from you this evening, please.
Okay, yes, yeah, Brooke, your writing so vivid, all the colors kind of remain in my mind. So it's beautiful. I'm going to read a poem, and I think this is my first poem written by coronavirus, I think. So back in May, I went to see the supermoon during the lockdown on the beach. There are quite a few people spread out all over the beach. Okay, flower moon. There always is someone who spots the moon rising above the horizon first and lets out a cry. There. The moon ascends and rolls out its reflections across the water. We could, I whisper, we could row to the flower moon, the companion of nightly moonflowers for the month of May. The boat leaves the shore, where any time now, mother turtles will mark the sand with heavy feet. We row to the rhythm of the moon, inhaling to rise higher, exhaling so that we won't veer away. The time begins to slow down and we stay in place between gentle waves. Darkness and silence are one. The swaying cease, then we are surrounded by the numerous green lights risen from the deep sea. We had been warned not to forget about the things hidden behind the supermoon. Translucent squid's tears float with sea bubbles, staying in place with us like truth. The moon slowly now, but continues its course, drawing a forward arc. We spot the girl who let out the first cry, standing alone. Between her world and the ebbing tide, which shift the demarcation line. It feels like an eternity, but it was a duration of a little tilt of the moonflower. We are back to the place filled with warm bodies, terrifying, but made gentle. It is no longer familiar, renewed. Thank you. Thank you.
So many wonderful images.
Thank you, Estelle.
I want to go back there.
We seem to have lost our host of Vivian, but I believe Abby was next in the lineup. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I'm just going to read the first 2 pages from a short story. I'm working on placing it now. I think it's the only thing I've ever written that ends happily. And sadly, you guys aren't going to be able to hear the ending, which involves kissing a chihuahua paw. But we'll just get started with the first 2 pages. This is called Delivery. Colleen leaned into the shower, held up her phone, and pointed it at the white tiled wall. Earlier that morning, as she washed her hair, she had stuck the stray strands to the wall. The damp hair made flat curls and swoops across the tiles. One hump arched gracefully like a porpoise. She snapped a picture, then went into her digital library room. She uploaded the image to the cloud, then downloaded it to her desktop. She saved it in a folder titled Hair, feeling the small relief it always gave her to know something would be there whenever she wanted it. There were 37 other shower hair images in the folder. Once she had tried to show her mom a glob of hair that looked like the Space Needle, but she had only made a quizzical face and asked why Colleen would want to keep a photo like that. Colleen glanced at the time, stuck her phone in her pocket, and took out a headset from her desk drawer. For the past 3 years, she had worked a customer service job for a national department store company. She hadn't appreciated it at first, disliking the minutiae of cardigan fabric questions and credit card entries in the isolation of working from home. But now the assuring message, "This call is recorded for quality assurance," saved her from documenting 35 hours of her week. In theory, she could barely keep up with the job and documenting the events of everyday life. She encountered or thought of something new minute by minute. Yesterday, when she had answered a customer inquiry about sock color, she suddenly remembered, as if an old file had opened in her brain, that her favorite crayon color as a child had been cornflower blue. Lately, she had started to contemplate the mountainous project of delving into the past and reclaiming all the childhood sensations floating unformed and unnamed in her brain, but she didn't know when she would manage to do it. Lately, she felt as if she were only documenting, because she didn't have time for new experiences. And although the compulsion to hit save on a photo that would have been lost otherwise eased her mind, she wanted to spend less time, not more, capturing things. One reason for that was the deliverer. He had a name, Jason Chan, but she didn't learn it for so long that she never thought of him by his first name. The deliverer wore a warm brown shirt, shorts, and thick gray ankle socks. He distributed people's orders with recklessness and speed. The deliverer brought her everything from fresh manila folders to cartons of coconut water. Sometimes they talked about weather, traffic, or the deliverer's weekend plans to play soccer. But with Colleen's preoccupations and his velocity, they seemed to only skim along the surface of knowing each other. She wanted him to know he meant something to her, the orderer. She wanted to know more about his life, how he liked his toast, or even if he liked toast at all, and what it would be like to kiss him. But the deliverer always drove off in a hurry. Most days, the truck lurched forward before he had even pulled his left foot inside. He had told her once that he was always perfecting his routes, taking different combinations of side streets until he was confident he had found the fastest way around town. "You can never be too fast," he had said. Never.
When do we get to hear the end?
Next week.
That's real life. I love it.
Yeah, very, very good. Very interesting and very timely.
Right.
Yeah. Abby, your last name isn't showing on the screen. I'm wondering what it is.
Oh, it's Tippin, Tippin.
Tippin, Abby Tippin. Okay, we'll remember. Are you from around here?
I'm from Michigan. I live in Kalamazoo. I'm friends with Brooke. We went to writing school together.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
I think she, were you visiting her last week or the week before? You have big earrings? Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Brooke, do you have Vivian's email that has Elizabeth Robin's intro in it? Can you read that? Can you introduce Robin for us? Excellent, thank you.
Oh, did we lose?
Yeah,
What's her name
I know
again?
what happened.
She coming and going? But she's gone.
Hear me? I'm going to introduce our writer Elizabeth Robin, a retired high school teacher living on Hilton Head Island, has 2 collections of poetry through Finishing Line Press, Where Green Meets Blue, and Silk Purses and Lemonade. A poet of witness and discovery, she relates both true and fictional stories about her low country present and world traveling past. Also published in fiction and nonfiction, her work appears most recently in Blue Mountain Review, the Broadkill Review, I Am Not, A Silent Poet, Good Juju, The Fourth River, Folia Oak, and Reflections. Robin MCs a monthly open mic, and beginning in 2021, the April Kickstart Poetry Month event for the Island Writers Network. In 2019, she began a partnership with, I can't see it. Oh, sorry. Partnership with, sorry, my thing just went.
Probably says Bow Art.
With, what is it? I just see with, and then I don't see anything.
Yeah, I think it's Bow Art.
Bow Art, to bring monthly literary programs to Hilton Head Island. Sorry about that. I don't know, my phone cut off half the time. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I'm in very exalted company here. I am excited to do this because this is a poem that I was encouraged to write by Tim Siebels, and it's very long and no one's ever heard it because it's very long. And so it fits the 7-minute limit. And he encouraged me to mix voices and styles in this poem. And it's a little weird. I hope you like it. It's called To My Dream Catcher. And I don't know if you know what a dream catcher is, but it offers mystical protection to loved ones separated by distance. It's an Ojibwa tradition. And generally they're made of wood, string, and feathers. And it sifts thoughts, a sacred charm. It collects and destroys nightmares. And its feathers filter happiness into dreamers. So this is To My Dream Catcher, an elegy. The urn's shiny particles drift along air currents, sprinkle the water. Maybe they're Kachina dolls, Pueblo spirits that toss comfort through the sliver of shadows cast on my face. A form appears, close but insubstantial. I hear a whispered hum, wind calling. My fingers pass through the sunbeams. The form settles into the haint blue couch, flickering along the deckled edges of memory. Like the fine scars I trace along your forehead, souvenir of a wild child's tumble over the handlebars of a runaway bike down a steep hill, sailing into a fog. Ever impatient, you lived a pell-mell life with the motor running, sawing the car door in half, throwing tools across the garage, compressing time, anxious to get it right. Dear Dreamcatcher, I realize you cheated death more than once before you didn't. No, you lived as though you knew you wouldn't. I write on a Dreamcatcher watermark. The ink seeps into rumpled nights. Words catch on a stray metaphor inside our silence, spooning thoughts. Elaborate painted fairy tales nest, one inside the other. But like that perfect soup, spoiled by one disastrous ingredient, dear Dreamcatcher, you are ashes. The play of light through that watermark splays aspirations in the sun's prism. I create fantasies. I'll find a man who recites poetry on my balcony. You'll come back. I'll become a power widow, able to leap over tall men and laugh. But like those rays spraying from the paper, reality presents a paradox in metabolism. Without you, my heart beats how? Voices from the past startle, lecture me to stay. Now, what is this dream catcher malarkey? Stuck inside memories, that's not a life. Might as well jump in front of a beer truck, honey. The vow reads till death do us part. Didn't I teach you? Don't you remember? My ring went in the box that day. Done. No sense in remembering, living inside thoughts. You can't go back. All this ashes and dolls nonsense, soups and cliffs and runaway bikes. Hell, you weren't even in his life then. Make some damn sense. You gotta be practical. You gotta be smart. You gotta do better. 2 years to empty that urn, red flag right there. Put him in a pine box, bury all of it. Find another man who'll read you poetry on a balcony or whatever damn nonsense you want. But dream catchers, kachina dolls, Pueblo spirits, you've always been the tough one. You've gone on every time. No more fairy tale shit. Imagine a new life, grab it, live it, and put those damn rings away now. Dear dream catcher, who am I without your eyes watching, your laugh, your droll reportage of a truer version, impending storms, a blustery wind, your widow and daughter covered in the blowback from your ashes. Buffoonery reigns, and only lowcountry mutts know when it's time to get out of the storm. I reach into this aching aloneness, remember riding our cowies side by side, men whistling in my tracks, following my hips, watching. Zippered women are too easily undone. Interlocking metal glides right out, exposed to scrutiny buttoned down by shoe peg eyes and purist noses. I keep dreaming full color action shots, panoramic views of vivid sexual encounters, as though you're still here. But a graying, shriveled gnome of a man with ivory crepe paper skin approaches instead. Last night, I thwacked a baseball under the stadium lights. The ball rose and rose and rose. Stunned, I stared, slack-jawed, too long before I remembered to run. Of course, I was thrown out at first. I can't swing a bat or run anymore. But the sensation, that sweet connection that blows life wide open, I even felt that the next morning. Unlike the dog who extends his leash and twirls madly 3 or 4 times, I can't shake out my frustration. The ceiling stains might be watermarks, but I wake to an enduring, unerasable, vestigial damage, peeling away pieces. We kiss. I feel you. Your face floats away. A doddering marriage sucked into sharp expectations. Thickening clouds eclipse a life on the fringes, parsing down words. Where is the spatula to flip these notes in the margin? Create an epistemology of absence where the last Valentine rose thrives and I'm not invisible. I climb endless stairs down the cliff to the beach, and a misty fog permeates the landscape. The damp cushions will not dry. I feel the jumbling, houses, crowds, memories, impressions up the cape. The cliff will not hold, nor will I. An apartment full of rock slid off El Capitan today, crushing hikers and sightseers. But there's a poem in my inbox, and promise within a baby's ink footprint, a savings passbook from a shuttered bank, a succulent, bulging, puffed leaf, or the tiny pink canvas shoe left on the fence post. In the last minute, the local gator swam by my lounge chair. An osprey landed on its arm, and the chickadee it chased crash landed into the slider. Not everything makes a comeback, but buffleheads inhabit the lagoon just as the last monarch flits by. Someday, I might climb with you, dreamcatcher, found in translation, might call on my Luton of Belgrade to show me what it all means and embrace the wobbly skeletons poking into my dreams. Then I can slide down that zipper and let them stare. Thank you.
Your images, oh my God.
Elizabeth, that's just amazing, gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Is that somewhere we can buy it and read it?
It took me 2 years to write it. It's in the book that's been rejected like 8 times so far. So I'm hoping it will be in a book soon.
That's so
I hope
good.
so. Oh, it's just exquisite. It really is.
So many places. You're in so many places and
Yeah.
so many relationships, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I love the 2 voices. You did a great job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's favorite word was malarkey. So
Oh,
I had
yeah.
his voice, I had to have that.
There's a political candidate whose phrase is no more malarkey.
I love the idea of dream catcher. I had the honor of having a dream catcher that was given to me from a tribe in Ohio. And when you started weaving the story, the visual of the dream catcher over my bed just was so vivid, with the feathers and the how it was strung, and everything about your poem just tied into that, pulling and weaving into this beautiful tapestry. It's lovely.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Did Jonathan disappear also? He's left you in charge of everything
Yeah, yeah.
without telling you.
Bad idea. He should know that by now. Now I see that Emily Davis Fletcher has joined us, wonderful poet. Would you like to read a poem?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for joining so late. Missing all of you. I'm sorry about that. So I'll read this poem, Rain. I think I read it at the Bluffton open mic. It's one of my newest poems. Okay. Rain. I ran out into the night to wear what the sky shed from closets of clouds, a heavy moss-colored coat, 2 sizes too big, slick black riding boots to my knees, a knit cap with velvet flaps covering my ears like 3-inch waterfalls. I can't hear Grandma yelling, "Get inside." How could she recognize me, darting from pine to pine? I had to touch each tree wrapping itself in stiff, shimmery curtains, discarded by stars. In my armor of rain, everything felt new. Even my breath rose and fell with the music of frogs. Thanks. The silent applause, I love it. Only on Zoom.
There you go.
Thanks.
That was wonderful.
Sounded
Yeah,
like
your images take readers right there, or listeners right there.
Yeah.
In the frogs, the rain, the low country. Nice.
Thanks. Thank you.
Very good. Wow, what a night of poetry it's been. All right. Well, Vivian's not here. Should we go again?
My
Very
realtor actually has been contacting me. I have an offer I have to deal with, so I can't stay. I have to call her.
An offer?
Yeah, I still haven't. I've moved, but I haven't sold my house yet. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
kind of anxious to see if I've got an offer I can work with.
Yay!
Good luck. Good
Let
luck.
me just mention very quickly that SCWA, my SCWA.org is featuring the different workshops, and I'll be doing one a week from Saturday from 10 to 12:30 on characters who grow from the soil or the life they're planted in.
Oh, Vivian.
So, and all of you who are in SCWA can attend free, and I don't think anybody else can attend. So
SCWA, this Saturday?
South Carolina Writers Association, the co-sponsor of this open mic.
Is this on their Facebook page or their website?
It should be at myscwa.org.
Okay.
And yeah, it should be on the website, and it's on my Facebook page if you need that. It's just Estelle Ford Williamson. You'll find it there, all the details.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks to SCWA and Pat Conroy for joining together. This has been great.
Yeah, it has. And Vivian's back. Is she?
Vivian is back.
Yeah,
Vivian.
Hello, Vivian.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I was I was in that flower moon with Miho. And so I don't even see Elizabeth on. She's gone, I take it. So
Yep.
Brooke, thank you so much for picking up the reins. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I couldn't introduce her, so she left. She didn't get to read.
Brooke.
Just kidding, Vivian. But now that you're here, you can read and you can close it out. And then
Right. Yeah.
I have something, but I feel like I'm cheating
Okay.
now.
Come on.
Okay. I'm really sorry about that, but I'm sorry I missed Elizabeth. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'll see if I can. This is a short piece called "Where Did the Time Go?" Over Labor Day weekend, I spent a morning living in my past. Inside of 2 boxes, I uncovered birthday and anniversary cards, pictures and love letters, job offers and old pay stubs, and the temporary tag from my first car, a Chevrolet Monza. I read words written by my parents 40 years ago. Take care of yourself. Be happy. We love you. Packing a home I've lived in for 16 years is a slow slog through dusty memory. Papers tossed into a box in Chicago in 2004 saw the light of day again after fermenting under the compression of heat and time. Sorting through the debris of extinct positions I once held in acquired companies begged the question most of us ask ourselves if we've been blessed with years: where did the time go? Recently, I've been praying to let go of stuff, let go of control, let go of judgment. As a Catholic, I have the opportunity to take my sins, shortcomings, and character flaws to confession, and I did, all in an effort to receive grace to transform and change. As I sifted through postcards and photographs, evidence of a lifelong journey lay strewn on the garage floor. I made careful decisions on what I kept, respectful of my age, and understanding that releasing the weight of time was a gift in self-compassion. Of all the gifts the Lowcountry has given to me, my beagle Toby was its absolute conveyance of love. The stray was hit by a car between B. Wilson Road and Promise Lane on St. Helena Island. Dr. Mark mended the dog's hip, broken in 2 places. And on our walks, Toby's whole rear end, scarred but healed, would wag with joy in a crooked run ahead of me down the sandy path to our neighborhood dock. In 2018, from the familiarity of my backyard, Dr. Doug helped me gently usher Toby to heaven. I do not understand the hows and whys of this life, but Toby helped me recognize God doing for me what I cannot do for myself. When I stop looking backwards, the present moment and tomorrow illuminate. I'll be back, but not until I take a deep breath of mountain air, exhale in the Blue Ridge, and feel a new kind of chill, call it hope or a promise. I trust that this Lowcountry will always be my lighthouse, beckoning me home to rest at the end of my life. Until then, I don't intend to focus on where the time goes. I will honor what I leave behind with my determination to live this rare and singular life. The end. So that's it. I was a delinquent host. Thank you, Brooke. And
Don't leave.
so glad to be with you.
Stay.
That's what's so great about Zoom. We'll Zoom. Yeah, we're just going to keep Zooming. So it was really wonderful to be with everybody tonight. Some of you are frozen on my screen, so I hope you're alive and well. I hope you have a wonderful rest of September, and join us again October the 8th for our next Pat Conroy, South Carolina Writers Zoom meeting. So have a wonderful night, everybody, and great to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Safe journeys.
Thank you so much.
Right.